everyone, it's Missy, and today I'm going to show you how to make pepper jelly. For this recipe, you're going to need to finely chop and seed 2 large green bell peppers. You basically want 2 1/3 cups of finely chopped peppers when you are making this recipe. So, like I said, 2 large green peppers. I think I used about 3 medium size. You just want to make sure to seed your peppers first, and then of course wash out any seeds if there's any inside. And then I'm just chopping them up with a knife, then adding them to my food processor to finely chop them. And I was trying to remove like the white pith or rind, I don't know what you call it too, because that will make your jelly bitter and you kind of want it to be sweet. Once you have that done, you just need a small food processor. I'm using a 2-cup size and I'm just pulsing. The peppers I'm using were really juicy. Even though I'm uploading this video in March, I actually took this video last year in July, so the peppers were nice and vine ripe, so they're really juicy. And that's what it should look like when they're finely chopped. And then next you want to move on to the jalapeno peppers. Now for this you want to finely chop and seed and devein about 3 small jalapenos. You're going to need 1/3 cup of finely chopped jalapenos for this recipe. It does provide some heat, but if you're not into jalapenos, you could add more green pepper. It's just that it wouldn't be a true pepper jelly if you did that. I'm using a melon baller to kind of help scoop out the seeds and so forth. Now, I also want to remind you as well that if you don't want to get burned on your fingers, if you have sensitive hands, you're going to want to wear rubber gloves when you work with these peppers. I guess I've never worried about it. I'm cutting out the stem as well. And I have plenty of jalapenos, so I wasn't worried about wasting any right there. But the melon baller works, or like I said, wear gloves and you can just take your thumb and just pop out the seeds right on top there. It's actually pretty easy to do. And again, you kind of want to take your knife and cut them into smaller pieces so your food processor doesn't have to work so hard. And once you have all your jalapenos deveined and seeded, you might want to rinse them under the sink to make sure all the seeds are out. You can put them in your food processor and pulse them. And again, I was using the same food processor, the little 2-cup. And that's what it should look like when it's all done. So we're ready to move on to the next step, which is we're going to take our Ball Classic pectin, make sure it's the classic pectin, and we're going to use 3 tablespoons of that pectin and sprinkle it all over the bottom of our jam jelly maker. And then to that, make sure that your stir is in the jam jelly maker, and then you want to add your peppers evenly over the pectin. So I know I kind of globbed it out right there, but I'm just taking my scraper and I'm going to spread it out evenly. And then you're going to want to pour cider vinegar over this, and you're going to need 2/3 cup. So, and then you also want to make sure that you add half a teaspoon of butter to help prevent the foaming. So once you have that all set, you can now select the jelly button, and the default time will be 25 minutes, but you want to press the minus button so it says 21 and then select enter. And your jam jelly maker should be cooking. I will not add the glass lid at this time. I'm going to wait for the 4-minute warning. But meanwhile, I'm going to prep my jars in my Ball AutoCanner. So inside this canner, I have 4 jars. Just going to lock the lid, select preheat, and start. And after 12 minutes, my jars will be preheated and ready to go. Also, over on the stove, I have 4 lids for my jars. I'm just going to turn the burner on to low, and then those can steam. And then I had the 4-minute warning at 18 minutes, and this is where you're going to add your granulated sugar. Now, if you're doing the traditional jelly like myself, you're going to add 3 1/3 cups of sugar to this mixture, but there's a reduced sugar option as well, and that's where you can add 2 cups of sugar. All the other ingredients remain the same, no matter if you're doing the traditional method or the reduced sugar method. It's just the amount of sugar can vary. So there's my 4-minute warning, so I'm just adding the sugar evenly over the top of my pepper mixture, letting that continue to cook. And this is where we're going to add the glass lid on the pot. So I'm just grabbing that and putting it over the top. And all we have to do is wait for the jelly jam to finish cooking. So I have all my canning supplies set up to the side. I'm just waiting for my jam jelly maker to finish. And my jars are, like I said, are already preheated. I'm ready to go in the AutoCanner right next to my jam jelly maker. So all I have to do is have everything set up in the counter where I'm going to have my jam jelly maker on the left-hand side, all my canning gear and stuff in the middle, and then my AutoCanners on the right-hand side. And that just helps move everything consistently and thoroughly. When you're canning, you want to make sure that you get the hot product into a hot jar, into a hot canner. So all I'm going to do is press cancel. The CO means that the unit is cooling off, and there is my pepper jelly. And lucky for me, I didn't have any foam, so I'm just going to take a washcloth or hot pad and remove the stirrer. I'm going to try to get that jelly off of that as best I can. And then I'm going to quickly move that over to the sink right now. Set that off to the side. And I also use a plastic ladle so I don't scratch the bottom of my jam jelly maker, because once you scratch it, it's no longer a non-stick surface and you would have to replace the bowl. So that's just a tip I tell everyone. Once I have my jar, I also have my funnel, and we are going to add enough jelly mixture to the jar so that way it has a 1/4 inch headspace. And so I'm just carefully adding it in. Careful, it is hot and the steam did burn a little when I did this. Now if you don't have a measure like I do, the 1/4 inch mark is actually to that first or that top rim, so you can kind of eyeball it and get it as close to a 1/4 inch as you feel by eyesight. But I always like to take that ball measure and measure it out precisely. I'm also using a wooden skewer to make sure that all the air bubbles are out. Right, measured out my 1/4 inch. I'm just taking a nice clean cloth, wet dampened, and wiping the rim. You want to make sure you have a clean rim so your lid will adhere correctly. And then I just screw the rim on so it's fingertip tight. And then we're going to add the jar into our hot canner. And I'm going to repeat this process until all my jars are filled. And while they're sitting in the auto canner, they'll be fine. They'll keep warm until I have everything ready to go. Then we're going to select jams, jellies, recipe number 1, and start. And after 28 minutes, we're going to have perfectly cooked our pepper jelly. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everyone.